Let's begin by looking at our server component, SignIn server.js. First, we import useState from React for managing our form state. We then import redirect and use search params from React Router DOM for navigation post-login and to access query parameters. Finally, we import our SignIn user function from a file named auth.js, which we will use for authentication. Inside our SignIn function, we start by initializing our state variables. We use search params to read the query parameters, which can include a from parameter indicating the URL the user should be redirected to after signing in. We also set up state for the username, password, and any error messages, initializing them to empty strings or null. Next, we have our handle submit function, an asynchronous function that will be triggered upon form submission. It prevents the default behavior to stop page reloads. Then it calls SignIn user with the entered username and password. If authentication succeeds, it redirects the user using the redirect function from React Router DOM, either to the URL they came from or the home page. If authentication fails, we update our error state with the returned error message. In the return statement, we have a simple form. When this form is submitted, it triggers the handle submit function. Placeholders for the username and password input fields and the sign-in button are provided but will be expanded in the following scene. Looking at the form elements, we have two input fields. The first input field is for the username, which uses the setUsername function to update the state as the user types. Similarly, the password field uses setPassword for state updates. When the sign-in button is clicked, it submits the form. Below the button, we conditionally render a paragraph element to display any authentication errors. Now let's switch to the auth.js file. Here we have the SignIn user function, which serves as a mock for authenticating a user. It awaits the response from the fake API call, which simulates making a request to an API. If the response is OK, it returns an object indicating success. Otherwise, it returns an object indicating failure and provides an error message for invalid credentials. The fake API call function is a placeholder simulating network latency with a set time out of 1 second. It resolves with an OK response if the passed credentials match the hard-coded user and password values. In a real scenario, you would replace this with an actual API call that interacts with your authentication server,